Gardening is something that's important for a number of different reasons, and unfortunately, it's been forgotten by just about everybody. It's important for your food storage, and it could be at the very basic level, it could be important just to supplement your grocery bills. With the prices of food these days, being able to grow your own at a much lower cost can save you, hundreds of dollars per year. Today, what I want to do is show you how I'm trying to solve a few problems in my garden, and also one that I may have created as I'm doing this. Now, when it comes to gardening, this is the space that I have. I have enough room for some raised beds. Some people have more space than that, and some people have a lot less than that. But it can be done. Just about anyone can garden, whether that's in buckets or a larger plot of land or the raised beds like I have here. There's different techniques for this, and anyone can do it. And this is the first video of a 3-video series that I'm going to do that goes over everything from start to finish. The before and after, basically. This is what I did to my raised beds and how I plan on using them and planting the cool weather crops. And the next video will be harvesting those crops and then planting the other ones and testing what worked, changing some things, and then doing some more testing. And the final video is going to be just a wrap up of how everything worked without all the YouTube editing BS, right? You can do whatever you want on YouTube. I'm no professional gardener. I'm still learning how to do some of these things, learning what works and what doesn't. So it's going to be, if it fails, you're going to know it failed. If it works, you're going to know it worked. So these are going to be real results and I'm not going to go out and buy a tomato plant from Home Depot and plan to make you think I grew it myself. We're going to actually see how this works. At any rate, let's go ahead and get into this. And some of you that have been gardening for a while may be thinking that this is a little bit early for me to be planting and doing things like this here in Colorado. It's, right at the end of March, beginning of April. But we have had an incredibly mild winter here. We're talking last week, it was almost 90 degrees. So I decided that I'm going to go ahead and get this started. It's snowed probably once or twice all year and been below freezing just a few times. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and start this now, although it is still a little bit risky because in Colorado, you just never know. So we'll see how this goes. And the first problem I wanted to try to solve with this is weeds. The only thing I hate worse than weeds is actually having to pull the weeds. And last year I decided to not grow a garden, and my raised beds just got overrun with tall grass and weeds, tumbleweeds, thistles, all sorts of things because I just neglected it. The reason I did this is because the year before we got a hailstorm. I spent a lot of time planting things and we got a hailstorm that basically wiped out 90% of what I grew. So I said screw it at that point and didn't plant the next year. This year I decided that I needed to go ahead and get started again. But with the pulling the weeds, I wanted to try something to mitigate the weeds that are going to be in these beds. So what I did basically was, and I didn't get any shots of this, but I got the weed whacker, weed whacked all the weeds, and then I got the tiller and just tilled up the garden bed. So everything is still in there. I know some people say pull the weeds. I like to keep the weeds in there because I figure they stole the nutrients out of the soil in the first place. So I'm going to keep them in the bed so they return those nutrients to where they stole them from. So once I tilled all these up, then I grabbed a few buckets full of my tractor of 2 to 3 year old chicken poop dirt. It's beautiful dirt now. It's not chicken poop anymore. And what I do is I will take some from the chicken coop floor and I will move it into a pile and let that sit there for a year or two, even longer sometimes. And it becomes beautiful soil for growing. I also bought some worm castings that I was going to amend the soil with, but I forgot to put that in. So what we'll do is we'll see how things grow in this one, and then we will try them and we'll put the worm castings in before I plant those warmer weather crops. And I also tilled outside of my raised beds because my idea for this, and we'll see if this works, my idea for this is to put some corn out there and make it sort of a barrier so the deer and the wildlife that come through don't necessarily go for the raised beds inside my garden. They've got a food source right there, I suppose, and maybe they don't eat that at all. And then I'll have some corn as well. So it's sort of a barrier for the outside of my garden and they can't jump over that fence. I did raise the fence a little bit. I added about 3 feet to it just on top with some chicken wire. So hopefully that helps. That also keeps my dog in the yard as well when I'm out there. But we'll see how well that works. And then what I did is I wanted to put down some ground cover because, like I said, I hate pulling weeds. And this is the cheapest ground cover I could get on Amazon because I'm not sure if this is going to work. So this is just a test. And once I figure this out, maybe I will go up to some more durable ground cover that will last a few years. But all I did with this was cut it to size. These beds are a little bit over 3 feet. So this is 4 foot wide ground cover. And then I just burned holes in it. I started with a big torch first, and this stuff is so cheap and so thin that it just wiped it out. But I got a small torch, a handheld torch, and a wood jig that I made that's got different size holes in it, and they're evenly spaced out. And I used that to create the holes in this garden. Now, you can do this with a small torch. You can do this without the wood jig. The wood jig just makes it a whole lot easier and a whole lot more uniform. Also, with this ground cover, I put it around the whole walking area of my garden. And this is something that I will probably get thicker, higher quality ground cover in the future because this is something it is going to stay there. When the weeds started growing up through the pebbles and the rocks in this that are, that 15 years ago, it probably was really pretty, but now there's so much soil and dirt in there, the weeds just grow like crazy. So this ground cover is going to stay there on the walking parts and even the back part where I have my solar panels, and I can put some containers for container gardening and things like that. The ground cover is going to stay right there. And I secured all of these down with these ground stakes with the little discs that really hold it nice and in place. And I haven't decided if I'm going to staple it the sides to the raised beds yet, but we will see in the future if weeds, and I'm sure they will, weeds will start coming through there. We'll see how hard or easy that is to manage. So that is the first problem I am trying to solve right here, and we will see how that works in the next video. Is it more just a waste of time, or actually is this something that is actually going to be something I'm going to do in the future? Make sure and subscribe to the channel too if you're interested in watching that video. It'll be a couple months when I start harvesting, so make sure and hit that bell icon to get notified too when I upload that video, and then the third one as well. And the second problem that I wanted to solve was having to go out and water it every day or every other day, depending on the plant or the crop. And I decided on a drip irrigation system. I used to have an old PV system. It was built when we bought the house, and it was actually pretty good in the beginning when I first started using it because it watered the plants nice and evenly. Over time, though, this is really old. This is 15 or 20 years old, so the pipes are beginning to crack, and some of the heads are broken, and it's just not working like it's supposed to. So what I decided to do was, instead of fixing this and trying to go through the different pieces and fix it, I wanted to install a drip irrigation system because it is really easy to use a drip irrigation system, and it is really easy to install this. And the other benefit of a drip irrigation system was I was able to extend this not just to these garden beds that I have right here and even the corn that I'm going to plant outside. I was able to extend this to the fruit trees that I just planted in my backyard, as well as the garden or the plants around the pond that I have back there. And behind the pond, I plan on adding sort of like a food forest type thing. But I was able to extend this over there, so I was able to kill 2 birds, 3 birds with one stone with this drip irrigation system. And this drip irrigation system is really simple to install, and I will explain it really simply here, but in the future I may do a video that goes into a little bit more detail about this. But what you do is you start by laying down, and I think of these like the arteries, the 1/2-inch line. This is the main line that's going to go to all the different parts of your garden. And then you connect this to the hose, and with that, you're going to need a filter. Especially us here, we have well water, and it's got, sometimes you get some stuff you don't want in there. So you need to filter out those large chunks or anything that could get caught in the sprinkler heads and cause them not to work. And then you need a regulator to keep this at low pressure. You don't want this high pressure and everything shooting out into your garden. You want this to be a drip system, something that you can turn on for an hour a day or every other day, and slowly water those plants. So once you get the regulator in and the filter in and the main lines, then you want to put in valves and all the different pieces that go into that main artery. The valves are important because, like, I've got 3 beds right here. If I only have plants in one bed, or maybe I have one bed that doesn't need as much water as a second bed, I can turn off that valve, and that bed won't get any water. Same for the trees. If I don't want to water the trees every day, I can turn those little sprinklers off or that valve off, and it won't even go over there. Or the pond and things like that. So put valves wherever you think you would need them. And also the elbows and the T connectors, you would need to cut this main line. So I've got the main line that goes into the garden beds, and I use a T connector to go from the first garden bed to the second garden bed, as well as into that garden bed. So figure out where you would need all those and put those in. Again, really simple. You just push them together, and it's really simple. There's no glues or anything like that you would have to do with like the PVC. This is really easy. And then on the ends of those 1/2-inch lines, you'd want to seal those off. I've got the end caps that I like, but you've also got you can kink the hose, and they've got holders where you put the holder on, and then it kinks the hose and holds it in place. I personally like the end caps because it just looks neater and cleaner. And once you have all the arteries laid out exactly like you want it, then you put in the 1/4-inch feeder tubes. And I sort of think of these like the veins. You know, if you've got the main artery, these are the veins that come off of that artery to where you want that water to go. And all you do with this, there's a neat little tool that just punches a hole in the main line. And then you have the little adapters that punch into that main line. And then you can take that 1/4-inch feeder line and put it onto the other end of that adapter. And then put whether it's just a drip system on the end of that, or like mine, I have little tiny sprinkler heads that are like 3 inches tall. And these work great because it spreads that water out a little bit. And then you put these on wherever you think you need them. In my garden, right now, I've got 5 or 6 in each garden. Actually, I've got 8 in each garden plot. And I will move those around. Maybe I'll add a couple other ones. It really just depends on how this evolves. And in my garden by my pond, where I've got just the perennials and regular plants, that will change as well whenever we plant different plants, or I can move that around, or if there's a part that's not getting any water. So all of this put together, the gardens themselves took me about 2 hours probably to get everything hooked up from start to finish. And then after that, I expanded out to the trees and the pond garden beds, and that took a little bit longer. But really, you're looking at a couple $100 maybe, and a couple hours worth of work to get this all going. And it's well worth it, because now all I have to do is turn on the hose, let that go for an hour, and I don't have to worry about the sprinkler or holding the sprinkler for a extended period of time or anything like that. Just turn it on, set it, and forget it, basically. You can also, there are timers you can get, so you wouldn't even have to do that. You can set it to water every day if you want, or once every other day for an hour at a time. I also may get a quick disconnect for the hose. That way I can disconnect this from that line and then water my backyard. There's a lot of different options to this, but it's really super easy to get this drip irrigation set up and ready to go. You can also, they've got all of these supplies, and I'll link to them below, but they've got them at Home Depot, you've got them at Amazon, and you can find all of these, relatively easily these days, and put this together, with 2-day shipping. You can buy everything you need and have this ready to go before your, what you planted even sprouts. So that was the second problem that I wanted to solve. Now, hopefully, I don't have to do a whole lot of weeding, and I don't have to sit out there and water every day. Although if I want to, I still can. The third problem, and this may be one that I created myself, was the yield that I'm going to get with this ground cover on there. And this is one we'll see. What I ended up doing was planting. What I should have done was figured out what I wanted to plant first and then where it was going to go. What I did started planting one box, the second box, and then the third box. So in one box, I've got broccoli, and in that same box, I've got radishes they're going to mature quicker than that broccoli is going to. So I'm going to have half a box that's empty, or maybe I just add more radishes. In another box, I've got carrots, which maybe would have done better with the radishes because they mature about the same time. But another issue with this, with the radishes and carrots and these crops like that, are these holes limit the yield. So this may have been better to maybe cover 2 boxes and leave one open for the radishes and the carrots and the onions and things like that. But I didn't do that, so we'll see how that turns out. In the middle box, I've got a few different types of greens, different types of lettuce that I planted. Some kale and things like that, leafy lettuce. And also in that box, I've got some celery. Again, looking back, I probably should have put the celery with the broccoli because those will take a long time and those will mature at the same time. And those would be fine. Those will be or should be fine with the ground cover. We shall see. And I also put some peas on the edges towards where the fences are on both sides because those like to climb. And I may actually have to put a couple of different trellises out there. We'll see how that goes as that grows, but that's basically how I planted these. We will see, one, how well this does for weed mitigation and how many weeds I do actually have to pull, but I think it's going to be a whole lot better than before, and the crops that I planted, these seeds that I planted, aren't going to have to compete as much with these other seeds, and I'm not going to have to be out there for an hour every day pulling little weeds. Also in that second video, once we harvest all of this, we are going to plant crops like melons, pumpkins, corn, inside and outside, and we'll see how that works. I think with the melons, since they vine, those are going to be fine, and I may even put some trellises with those as well. Those are going to be fine with these ground covers, I think. Though pumpkins, the same thing. But anything, like I said, I may take one of these raised beds and take the plastic, the ground cover off and see how that does. It depends on what I decide to plant. I know I will be planting melons. I'll be planting some peppers, some pumpkins, and things like that. So the warmer season plants, these seem like, from what I want to plant, they may do better with this, rather than the cool season plants that will do better in rows, and you get more of a harvest if you plant them with an open bed. So again, we will see. I'd love to get your guys' ideas though, especially you that have been planting for a while and maybe have done this, been there, done that. Is this going to work or not? Or what your thoughts are on different ideas for gardening, whether it be the raised beds or the container gardening, or even if you're in a condo or an apartment, something small, it can still be done. You're not going to get the yield that you would get out of a larger plot, but it could still be done. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts and ideas. And like I said earlier, make sure and hit that notification, that bell icon, to get notified when I upload the second video in this series with the harvest and planting those warm season crops, and the third video as well. And if you did like this video, make sure and hit the like button as well. It helps get the word out to everyone else. But that's it for today, everyone. That's this video. We'll see how everything works out in the next one. But until then, take care and prepare. We will talk to you all later.